Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you and talk to you today about Beast Academy. As you know, I'm a fan of Beast Academy, and as you also know, when I put up the 5th, 6th grade curriculum for math, I talked about my son enrolling in the Art of Problem Solving pre-algebra program. So on May 15th of this year, 2019, we went to something called the Math Jam, where all those kids who completed, Beast Academy Level 5, or for all those kids who whose parents felt as though they were prepared for pre-algebra 1 with the Art of Problem Solving, they kind of gave you a snippet of what to expect, what it looks like. I will give you my 2 cents on that as well. So let me go ahead and flip this camera over, and I will talk to you about Beast Academy and the Art of Problem Solving. What you see in front of you is all that I have. We started this in I would say at the end of 3rd grade, when my son was enrolled in traditional school, that summer going into the 4th grade. After he took his placement test, he scored the grade below. So as an example, as a 4th grader entering to the 4th grade, he scored on level 3. And for level 3, we started with 3B. Okay, let me show you what I'm talking about. Every grade level, grades 2 through 5, has 4 parts. And when we started on B. And that's because he totally mastered this already. And the questions that related to this on the exam that he took, or the placement exam, he didn't get any of those wrong. So we went ahead and we started with 3B. Now, when I purchased 3B, I did not get the graphic novel. I did not get the illustrated companion. And that was a big mistake. The driving force of this curriculum is the graphic novel itself. It's the guide. Let me show you an example of what I mean by an illustrated or graphic novel. Again, they call it the guide. And by the way, Beast Academy is presented by the Art of Problem Solving. So here we go with the table of contents. Let me go ahead and start with here. The table of contents. And you'll notice that it starts off with chapter 7. And that's because in 3B, and I cannot find it, you have maybe chapters 4 through 6, and in 3A, you have 1 through 3. So that's how they sequence it. And I think it's that way with all of them. A is the first 3, B is the next 3, and so forth. And it has 12 chapters for every level, okay? So here's your table of contents, what you're going to learn in this graphic novel here. Here are all the characters who have their own little cute and outrageous personalities, and your child will get to know these characters as they go through. They first give you a welcome, and what they're going to do is go over what to expect. They will introduce the characters to the children, and they will dive on in. But book 1 gives you a good introduction. As you go through the books, the assumption is you have met the characters already. You've gotten to know these characters already, so you might not go into detail in regards to who they are in terms of an introduction, I would say. So look at this. In 3C, your children are already being exposed to expressions, algebraic expressions, okay? In traditional school, your children may not be learning algebra or pre-algebra concepts, okay? Let me keep going for you. Again, it is bright, it's vibrant, it has an illustrated feel. If your kids like comic books, This will sit well with them. But again, don't let the color and the presentation fool you. It is very rigorous. And I will show you a few examples once I show you the work text or the practice book. And I will keep flipping through the guides as I talk, if you don't mind. So the art of problem solving, guys, again, they, created Beast Academy. It's for grades 2 through 5. The levels correspond with grade levels, but it may not correspond with traditional school grade levels. That's because this program is all about critical thinking. It's all about the process, and it's all about problem solving. It's not, here is the formula, plug in the numbers, you have the answer. It's not, here is how you, complete a problem. Here are the steps to completing the problem. Now do the work. It's not like that, okay, at all. I would say that the problems, again, are very challenging, but they encourage the children to keep trying, okay? And this teaches the children perseverance. It teaches them determination. It teaches them, although you may be frustrated because you aren't getting the answer the first 3 times, that's okay. Let's figure out why, and let's go ahead and solve this problem. It may take your child 10 minutes to complete one problem, and as they get to the level 4 and 5, or if this is a challenge for them, even at grade 2 or 3, it's okay if it takes them 15 or 20 minutes. My child many times has had to sit down for 20 minutes to complete a problem. He took a break. Sometimes the break was like, I'm done with that for the day because I did this 10 times and I'm just not getting it. And I do not let him throw away the grid paper that he uses to try to solve the problem, because a lot of it is trial and error, finding patterns and things of that nature. So when he comes back to it, we look at what he had previously. We say, okay, well, these did not work. What else can we try? Let's think about every concept within this question that they're asking. Let's use some math strategies, underline keywords, circle numbers. Let's look back at the example. Let's go ahead and reread the guide to see if we missed anything. Let's do this problem again, and then it clicks. And if it doesn't click, that's okay. We turn to the back of the book, and I'll show you that later in the video in the practice book, where we can find answers and help the children, and help yourself too, parents, figure out how to solve the problem. Here's an example of a table of contents. And if you notice, it says here, see page 76 in the practice book for a recommended reading practice sequence for this chapter. So when you turn to that page 76 in the practice book, it will give you an example that you can use to help you solve problems. And also, once you're done reading a certain lesson in the graphic novel, the guide, it will tell you where to go in your practice book to solve your problems. And also in the practice book, if you need help, it tells you at the bottom of the page or the beginning of the chapter, again, in that practice book, and I'll show you later on in this video, where you can go in your graphic novel to reread whatever concept is being taught or whatever concept you're practicing in the book. When you do the placement test for your children, don't be surprised if they test into a grade lower. So if in the 5th grade, don't be surprised if they test into level 3 or level 4. If they're in 4, level 2 or 3, grade 3, level 2. Don't be surprised. Again, this curriculum is like no other. It's all about the process. Using your analytical skills, critical thinking to solve the problem. So your children may not have had to use those types of skills in terms of math, because when you look at traditional textbooks, or when you look at, a lot of these curriculums that are out there, to include Saxon, I love me some Saxon, but it's not rigorous. in terms of challenging word problems or math problems or use of a lot of critical thinking. They normally tell you this is the way that you solve the problem. This is the formula. Plug it in. Do it like you were taught in the practice problems. Do your problems the way it was taught to you, in the book, step by step, and you should get it right, right? This is how you do a fraction. This is how you multiply a fraction, divide a fraction, figure out perimeter or circumference or, angles. This is how you figure it out. Here's a problem that's different from what you used in the practice setting. Go ahead and solve it. Your children, if they follow the steps, they may get it right, or they should get it right. If they're not getting it right, then it may be a conceptual issue where you have to kind of reteach and things like that. But this book, again, it's not like that. It's not telling you, here is some examples, now follow it. It may give you one or two problems like that, but then it gets so much more challenging, okay? So don't be discouraged, guys, and don't allow what I'm saying in terms of the rigor of this program to scare you away from it. If your children like graphic novels and you may not want to use it for the practice because it's too challenging and you're not, you don't want to start a level below, because even if they start a level below, it still may be a little too challenging and you love what you're currently using, that's okay. Keep the graphic novel or purchase the graphic novel and just have the children read it like they would a comic book, or like they would read, or like they would do with, an independent reader that you may give them. And trust me, although it's fun and it's entertaining, the information is soaking in. And then you'll be surprised that when you are using whatever curriculum you're using now, when you get to a certain concept, they may figure out how to do a certain problem because they have learned it in Beast Academy. So I say that to say you can utilize this as a supplemental resource within your homeschool. And if you're not homeschooling, you can still use this as a supplemental resource for more challenge on the weekends or during summer break, or when your children are on, their winter breaks and spring breaks and things of that nature. That's how we started. We started with something called after schooling. And I have a whole playlist on after schooling for those kids who are enrolled to school full time. We used this that way at first, okay? I would not use this as a main curriculum. And the reason why is because it doesn't cover all aspects of math, like money, time. Well, your kids may know that stuff already, before they hit grade 2. So there may be no need for this program to include that. But I know I found some things that were missing. And some of those basic concepts may not be included in this because, again, this focuses on critical thinking. So those basic concepts don't require critical thinking, and it's just a plug-in type thing or a remember type thing, then there was no need for them to include it in here. But I will say that the art of problem solving, which again, the creator of this program, Beast Academy, does say that it is a complete comprehensive math curriculum, but I will let you be the judge of that. But for me, we do not use it that way. We use it as supplemental material, okay? But again, I think it's a solid curriculum for teaching. The content is also very, very strong. I also think after your child is done with Beast Academy level 4, parts A through D, they will be ready for pre-algebra in a traditional program. Traditional program, I'm talking about your, pre-algebra textbooks that they may use in traditional school. I'm talking about your Math UC, your Saxon Math, your, what else is out there? Primary mathematics, potentially a backup, potentially. Yeah, so things like that. Teaching textbooks, absolutely. I think your children will be ready if they do the novel, the guide, and the practice book. Okay, at level 4. Art of problem solving also has something for pre-algebra and above, okay? And those courses are meant for middle school and high school, 5th grade through 12th grade, but I'll talk about that later on in this video. Right now, let's stick with Beast Academy. Okay, so that was 4A. And I'm gonna just quickly go through 4B. So let me show you the 4B practice book. The 4B practice book. So let's talk about the kind of problems you'll see. So in the beginning of each chapter, let me just flip through here. In the beginning of each chapter, you have your chapter. It will tell you, use this practice book with the guide 4B. It tells you here in your guide, these are the pages you're supposed to read. When you're done reading those pages, come to this practice book and do those pages and so forth. Okay? When I first started this, I had my son read the entire graphic novel because he wanted to. And then he took the book and he, well, not when he first started because we did not have the graphic novel, but for 3C, after he was done with 3B, he read the whole graphic novel and then he went and did the book, an hour a day, something like that. Guys, that's the wrong way to do it. It's the wrong way to do it because you're missing the point. Your child is soaking in so much information that there is absolutely no way with this type of rigorous program they're going to remember what they learned in that guide or what they read in that guide. So please, if you're going to use this program, stick with the method that Art of Problem Solving has laid out. Read the guide first. When you're done, go to the book. So let's say we read these pages in the guide, and now we're doing these pages here. So they give you an example, okay? They're basically reteaching you in a brief way, okay? They give you some problems to answer. Pause the video and try to answer it yourself using the information provided. And if your child gets stuck, right? Let's say your child gets stuck on this page. At the bottom, it tells you what exact pages to go look at in the guide to help you with the page that you're on. Also in the guide, you'll have some problems with stars next to them. And although this program is already challenging, they give you problems that are extra challenging, but we still attempt it. So the 1 stars, we attempt them. They're normally okay. It's the ones that are 2 stars and 3 stars where it gets a bit difficult. But again, it's just having you think beyond, what was taught. This whole curriculum is about connections. If I have not already said it, it's about patterns. Okay? In the back of the guide, guys, I love this part. They don't just give you the answer, but look at this. They give you the solution steps, how they did it. Look at that. Look at that example. Look at that example. Let me give you another example. Look at that. They give you the steps and they talk to the student. And that's what I like about this. The practice and the answer solutions, they speak directly to the reader. Okay? So that's the art of problem solving. Now, they also offer this program online, okay? They have Beast Academy online. And if I didn't mention it earlier in this video, I think I did, levels 4, C and D, and 5A through D, we are doing online. As of this video, May 17th, 2019, we've completed our A, but if you listen back, I completed our level 4, but if you look back, I told you in the curriculum hall for my son's math curriculum for grade 5 and 6 that he would complete level 5 in the 6th grade, okay? Now, and then he would start the art of problem solving pre-algebra in the spring of 2020, so a January class, and then he would do part 2 of pre-algebra in the summer. Okay, that's what my plan was. But before I go there, which will be a part 2 to this video, let's go ahead and finish up with Beast Academy. Okay, so Beast Academy online, they do offer that. They have great engaging videos for your children outside of Beast Academy online. And what do I mean by that? Okay, for $15 a month or $96 every year, you can have this entire program, the practice, the answers, the guide. It won't look like a book, although the books, a virtual book like this, will be available to you. They do it in a learning system with digital practice. And it's like a game. They have games, problems, and puzzles. And when I say it's like a game, they're basically teaching your children through games. This whole curriculum is taught through a game. And then they move up to the different lessons within each part of each level. They move up, or basically it unlocks a new lesson moving up when they have earned enough stars, which basically said your child has mastered this lesson. Let's go ahead and move on to the next lesson. It also provides detailed reporting for you as parent, where it shows you, where your child is having struggles, how your child is doing for every single component. So if you're doing 3B and they were doing a lesson on multiplication, there are several lessons for multiplication. And as they go through those lessons, they'll tell your children, or they'll tell you on the report if they're having difficulties in multiplication, perfect squares, distributive property, and even within these larger sections, they help you pinpoint what is the problem, what's the issue, and then you can practice more online. You can supplement it by bringing in something else to help them better understand it, or you can utilize it right now. So I'm just going to show you what they have online. So these are just some screenshots, or not screenshots, but this is some examples of what the online program will look like, okay? You can go online and look at that yourself. But again, we find the online program extremely beneficial. All right, guys, that was my review. If you have any comments for me, any questions, leave them for me in the comment box below. Look for part 2 of this video, where I'm going to talk about the Art of Problem Solving Academy and the Art of Problem Solving Virtual Online School, which is for grades 5 through 12, and what our plans are going to be because of some things that we found out. All right, as always, you make it a great day. Bye.